He's recording.
Alright, what's going on, guys? As you guys saw last time, we pulled the motor out, the KA, because it went bye-bye. We did buy an SR. We're still waiting on parts, and Juku is shipping me parts out. Should be here soon. So for right now, we're going to be relocating the battery to the back, because the only way to run battery in the we're going to be relocating the battery to the back, like I said. We have intercooler piping that's going to be coming through right here. So it's going to block all the room for a full-size battery. The only way you can do it is getting a small little either Miata battery or Honda battery and running that in here. We're not going to do that. I want to run a full-size battery, so we're going to be relocating it somewhere around here. Somewhere right back here is going to be where it's going to be at. I know the fuel tank ends around like right here, so we got to try to be tucked up along here as much as we can. So over here in the engine bay, what we're going to do, we have these power wires right here going to the fuse box and I don't know, starter, a couple other things. I have this power wire going to the amp. Yeah, going to the amp for my subs that I had there. So this I'm going to be taking out. I'm just going to run it in the trunk. There's no need to keep it over here. It'll clean the engine bay out from this shitty little wire. So this will get pulled out of here. I'll run this fuse and everything in the trunk right next to the battery. So the things you'll need for this is obviously spool of wire. You only need about 20 feet. I brought 25 feet. It's all black. I kind of wanted the red stuff, but they didn't have any. 25 feet of wire. This is 2 gauge. You can run it in 0 gauge, but from everything I've read online, you don't really need it. It's overkill. But we got 25 feet of 2 gauge wire here. Stranded, of course. Nothing special. We're going to be running it exposed. You can run it inside. I don't feel like ripping up all the interior though. I'm not at that point yet to where I would just want to rip everything out. We're gonna run it along the frame rail on the bottom of the car. That way it's tucked up nice. You don't want it underneath the frame rail, obviously. I'm just gonna run it with the brake lines if possible, or something like that. And bring it up through the trunk. We might have to drill a hole some here. We're gonna probably have to drill a hole somewhere up here in this area, or come through some grommet or something like that. We'll see when we get to that point. Yeah, let's get started. Also, something I forgot, I got a bunch of these wire clamps. They're rubber insulated, so if anything does happen to ground out or short out, it should be good. I got these from Harbor Freight for like $5. Same with a huge roll of electrical tape, because it was only $5 for the whole thing, so might as well. Can't have enough of that. First things first, like I said, I'm taking this wire out of here, and then we're gonna start running the wire through underneath. Shout out to Jimmy Oaks, he gave me the idea of putting these all together. Instead of having to rerun this stuff into a fuse block, or not a fuse block, but just a terminal or something back here, we're just gonna connect them all to one little area right here and run this straight back. So that'll be the connection for the front end. If we get too far ahead of ourselves, I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this. Try to get this far out of the engine bay as I can. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it all the way through. I don't really care too much about it. It's just a stupid little wire. Later on, when I do all the weight reduction and stuff, I will clear this whole thing out and gut it out. For now, it's just a street car. For now, keywords. This, like I said, I'm just gonna pull it out of the engine bay. If I want to run my subs again, all I gotta do is just run a wire out the battery back there. This is just power wire. So this shit came out pretty easily. So one thing I haven't bought yet, because I don't know how many of them I'll need. I didn't get any crimp-on connectors, which is fine. I'll have all the wire in and everything. It's not like there's a motor in the car right now, so we don't gotta start it up or nothing. So now that speaker wire is out of the bay, we're gonna start running this, and we're just gonna run a passenger side through the frame rail all the way back to the back. So I just stripped back part of the 2 gauge wire, and we're gonna insert it to the positive battery cable right here, or the positive battery terminal. That's gonna go there, and then get this back over here. Alright, so it's kind of a pain in the ass. I don't think it's really meant for doing this, but pull it out. Put it in. That's good enough. This will eventually get, actually we could do it right now. We're just gonna wrap it up with electrical tape, because when the battery is in, this will be live. So we gotta tape this up nice and good, and then we could just tuck it down right into here. And then that's that for the power side. Alright, so now that we got the power wire hooked up to the power side of the battery and the fuse box, this can just get tucked in right here. It doesn't matter really where you put it. You can put it wherever the hell you want. This will just get tucked in right here. Once we get intercooler piping and everything, I'll figure out some kind of clamp or something just to hold it in place. It doesn't really need anything, but that's your power side. It's got a lot of voltage going through it, so you got to make sure that thing is secure. That's why we tape the hell out of it. Your ground side, this part doesn't really matter too much. You probably don't have this going on in your car. I added this because my car was running weird, so I added another ground to it. I thought it would fix it, but it didn't really do much. So on the negative side of the battery, it's just a ground for the most part. This right here actually goes to the block, and it is hooked up down here somewhere, and you can see my shit's all rusty. That doesn't really matter. We're probably just gonna delete all this and just run a ground from the chassis to the motor on the block right here, and then on the back of the car where the battery's negative side terminal, that's gonna just go into the trunk somewhere, get some bare metal. So right now we are running the wire through here. Pretty much right here you got brake lines, if you could see that, and then right here on this side of it I'm gonna run this, and it's gonna be perfect and it's gonna be great. And yeah, so one thing is really important when you're doing this, you don't want to make your whole car live with power. So like I said, you got to run a fuse in line somewhere. People have been using, I think, like 250 amp fuses or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna do some research on it real quick and just double check on that. But if this works, I'll probably just run this in line. It just has to go anywhere before the battery, pretty much on the power side. Ground, you don't got to worry about it, obviously. But because there's power through there, if there ever is a short, it will pop this fuse before it'll put any power to the chassis, I guess you could say. Something like that. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you don't want to short the car. You don't want to short that wire out, especially the fact that it's running underneath the car and not through inside. You don't want any risk of catching your car on fire or making the whole thing live.
Alright guys, it's me, the cool guy now, the one that makes the channel come to life, because I bet you Zane's boring.
Bullshit. You made a good video. You don't even know.
No dude, I'll watch it, you know, when I edit it.
You'll be impressed.
I'll be in awe. Alright, feed the cable. So I literally have no idea what Zane's been showing you, but I'm gonna pull the cable through. And then, yep.
Oh shit.
What?
Whatever.
What? Don't whatever. He has a whole extra ton of wire left over. He bought like 25 feet when you only need 18 feet.
Yeah, you get about 18, 20 feet. Alright, so just went back over to the auto parts store. Picked up a battery tray because we're gonna need this. I wish they had a metal one, but I guess plastic will be alright. That's gonna sit over in this corner. Went ahead and picked up some of these lugs. I already crimped them back there at O'Reilly's. They got a crimper, so just went ahead and did it. This is gonna mount over here, which I do not have a bolt for that yet, but I'll try to find something for that. And then some battery terminals. You probably already got some from your other battery, but I just went ahead and got new ones. Over here, for the grommet, I used a piece of conduit that came out with some high volt wire. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I put that on. It works, whatever. It's not gonna rub through or anything. And then this is overkill, but I put some silicone in there just so it doesn't leak. You don't need to put any on there. I just did it just cause just no water gets through there, which doesn't really matter, like I said. But yeah, we're gonna mount this tray right here, and as you can see, it's a little bit big. I don't think I'm gonna trim anything of it, but I did go ahead and take this screw out of here because I know once I get my Walbro 255, I'm gonna have to pull this cover off, or pull that cover off for the fuel pump. So I just pulled that screw out. When we mount this on here, this should still be able to slide out, so it'll be all right. Wondering what kind of screws I'm using? I'm just using these 1/2-inch sheet metal screws, and they're really good. They just go right in. I use them a lot at work because I do HVAC. And they work really good for metal, wood, whatever you're drilling into. But they just got a 1/4-inch head on them and just throw them in with an impact. This is what I used on all the clamps that I used. They're only 1/2 inch long, so they shouldn't really penetrate too far in there. It'll be enough to hold it in, and that's about it. It's not gonna hit the gas tank. That's one thing you gotta watch out for. You do not want to hit that gas tank because that will not be good. And it should be alright. If you get the 5/16 heads, then they'll probably work a little bit better on here, just because this hole is a little big for them. But it's alright. This thing is pretty secure. I'm gonna throw a couple more in there just because. I guess we're good. This thing is not going anywhere. It is solid. Once there's a battery in there, it ain't gonna do nothing, as you can see. So now we can go ahead and get the battery put in here, and then we have these little clamps, or thread rods, I guess. These will go on into here somewhere. Into here. Here, if I can get this one in. I just gotta figure out how to get it in there. Make sure it will fit. Oh yeah, that's perfect, right up against the corner. So for the top part of this, I was gonna buy the little O'Reilly's adapter thing, or not the adapter, but like the plate that goes through here. But I decided not to. I'd rather just make my own, because all those are just cheap and plastic or really shitty metal. So I'm just gonna grab a piece of metal, some flat stock, drill a couple screws through it, and throw it on. I should have probably got the longer ones, which I might have to go back and do if it doesn't work, but you get the idea. They had these 8-inch ones and like 12-inch ones. Thought the 12-inch would be a little too big, but I guess not. This might work. We'll figure it out. So now we just gotta finish up our connections. Obviously you got the positive, it's gonna go on right here, and then the negative, put the new clamp on and that. Alright, so there it is. Battery's in. I got the little shitty O'Reilly's tie down on there. It sucks, but it's gonna work for now. Battery ain't going nowhere. I got the ground cable that I still need to hook up. It's just gonna go right here. I just need to find a bolt for it. Nothing too fancy. I might get a marine box later on, but for now, that's and then I still gotta put this shit on here. A lot of tractors require to have something over the positive terminal, even though a lot of tracks also don't ever check. There it is. So if you're doing an SR swap or any other swap, or putting a turbo in your KA or whatever the fact is, you're gonna probably have to do this. So I hope I helped you guys out. On the clamps, if you guys were wondering, the ones that I tied the battery cable to, I just spaced the clamps out like one every foot, something like that. Make sure the wire's not dragging down or anything. Put a couple zip ties in there. I know back here around the control arm area, I gotta put a zip tie, or not the control arm, subframe area, I gotta put a zip tie. But other than that, everything looks good. Everything's all clean. Like I showed you guys, battery ain't going nowhere. Just a little bit of hanging out. You don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too loose. This I'll just probably leave it like that. For over here, I'll probably dangle this down right here and then just route it out, just so it's nice and clean. You can do it a million other ways. You don't have to follow my tutorial, but there she is. Like I said, thank you very much for watching, and hope you guys liked the video.